Hi everyone, Chris here from IELTS Advantage with another live lesson, and in today's lesson we're going to look at the #1 way to improve your IELTS speaking. So we're going to share a very effective piece of advice that I give all of my VIP students, and this one thing is going to solve all of your problems and help you improve your scores more than anything else, and you won't believe how simple and easy it is. We just did this lesson on Facebook, and I've given this advice to lots of students, and when they start to use it, they're like, oh, I can't believe I made it so complicated for myself. I can't believe how easy it really is. So what are we going to do in this lesson? So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the key problems that most students have. So one of the things that we do on our VIP course is we do Zoom sessions. In fact, I'll be doing one in about 2 hours with them, where we jump into a digital classroom and I ask students questions, speaking questions, and they give an answer, and we all listen to their answer and give them feedback. And we see the same problems come up again and again and again. So we're going to look at the key problems related to fluency and coherence, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. And then we're going to look at the one thing that you can do to solve all of these problems. Also, I'm going to show you why I have these and how these relate to vocabulary. So we're going to teach you a lesson about vocabulary using the kettlebells. Alright, so let's start off with fluency and coherence. So one of the things that affects fluency is just thinking way too much. Think about your brain as the same as a computer. What happens when you open too many programs or you open too many tabs on your browser? It crashes, or it doesn't perform as well. It's not as fast as normal. Same as when you're thinking of too many ideas, you're thinking of the perfect grammar, you're thinking of the perfect word to really impress the examiner. And that causes you to not sound as fluent as you could, because you're just thinking way too much, because you can't speak fluently and think about all of these things at the same time. There's a very easy solution to that problem. Also, we get a lot of students who memorize answers, especially those questions that are predictable, like tell me about your hometown, what is your job, what are your likes and dislikes, describe your home. These questions that come up a lot in part 1, and students normally have very good answers for those types of questions because they have prepared and memorized those answers. But then when the unusual questions come up, like how often do you wear a hat, or tell me about your favorite hat, they're like, what? Because they have never thought of that question before. And the examiner is not going to judge you on the memorized answers, they're going to judge you on your ability on the totality of your performance, not just those answers that you really nail. Also, we get students who have very robotic delivery. So by robotic I mean they speak like this: my name is Chris, I am from Ireland, I am a teacher. So they're not speaking naturally, and this can affect their fluency. So, and this is related to mindset. So thinking that the speaking test is this very formal academic test and you really have to impress the examiner, of course you're going to sound nervous, of course you're going to sound very stressed out if that's the way you think about it. Moving on to vocabulary, and I'll show you the kettlebells now. So a big problem is students memorizing lists of vocabulary, and this isn't your fault, guys. This is, there's a lot of websites out there, a lot of teachers, a lot of schools that will tell you all you have to do is memorize this list of band 9 vocabulary or high-level vocabulary, and that's fine. That's great if you are doing a memorization test. The speaking test is not a memorization test, it's a speaking test. You have to use the words. Memorizing lists of words is not going to help you use them, and you're really going to struggle. Also, students using big words, all right, or high-level words, or what do you call them, band 9 words, diamond words, or golden words I've heard as well online. There's no such thing as these things. And what's going to happen if you try and use these so-called high-level words is the same as someone who tries to go to the gym and lift a very heavy weight. What's going to happen to them? So this kettlebell is 16 kilograms. About 6 months ago I started training, And this was really, really, really heavy for me. But now, it's not too bad. What I'm using now, so tonight when I go to the gym, I'll use this one, 20 kilograms, which is quite heavy for me. But if I try and use like a 30 kilogram kettlebell or a 40 kilogram kettlebell, I'll injure my back, I'll rip my muscles, I'll drop it on my head, I'll be in big trouble. So when you're using these so-called Band 9 words and you're not capable of using them, you're going to make lots and lots of mistakes, and it's the equivalent of lifting a weight that you're not capable of lifting. Use the vocabulary that you're capable of using, and then you'll be in good shape. Grammar, very, very similar to vocabulary. Memorizing sentence structures and phrases. It's not a memorization test, it's a speaking test. You can't memorize lots of phrases and lots of structures and then just use them in the test. It's a lot more complicated than that and takes a lot more time than that. Overthinking and perfectionism. So many of you try and really focus on accuracy of your sentences rather than fluency. You're going to make some grammar mistakes, but if you have this mindset of thinking about things so much so that you produce the perfect sentence, then your fluency is going to suffer. It's a balance between accuracy and fluency in many, many ways, but for many of you, the balance is too much the way of thinking about it too much and perfectionism. Again, very, very simple solution coming up for this, and for this, and also for this. So for pronunciation, what happens because of stress? Students speak very, very quickly. When you speak quickly, is it easy to understand? So I just said that very, very quickly. If I spoke like this, is it easy to understand what I'm saying? No, because I'm speaking too quickly. Is it easier to understand what I'm saying now? Yes, because I'm speaking normally. So because of stress, a lot of students get into the test and they're speaking so quickly that the examiner just can't understand 100% of what they're saying, and that really does affect your pronunciation score. Again, speaking robotically, that can affect certain aspects of pronunciation, and just not working enough on clarity. The examiner has to understand 100% of what you're saying if you want a band 7, 8 or 9. So because you're spending all your time memorizing all this grammar, memorizing all this vocabulary, memorizing all these answers, you're not spending enough time on things that really matter, like improving your pronunciation, which is, you get yourself in big trouble spending time on things that don't actually improve your score and not spending enough time on things that actually do improve your score. But that's not the piece of advice, but that is very, very good advice. Spend your time on things that improve your score, ignore the things that don't improve your score, but that's not the thing that will help you the most. So, what is a way, or how can we improve all of these things by just doing one simple thing? Now, I very, very rarely try and find a hack or a tip or a shortcut or anything like that, and that's not what this is. But it was something that I came up with when I was teaching face-to-face. So one thing that I noticed when I'd be chatting to students before class began, so I'd always go in like 10 minutes before the class began and just chat to them about the way I would to a friend or a colleague, chat to them about the weather, their lives, maybe something in the news. And what really, really struck me was when I was speaking to them normally in a social context, they had none of these problems. But when the class began and they started doing practice questions, they had lots of these problems. So I was thinking, there must be an easy solution to this. And there is a very, very easy solution. And it's all to do with your brain. So your brain is the thing that's going to produce the language. Your mouth obviously helps with that. But the brain, and don't ask me why it's colored red. I don't know why I create a red brain. Maybe it's the blood. Anyway, so when you are asked a question, what is your brain doing? On a very basic level, it's thinking about many, many, many different things at the same time. It's thinking about questions, thinking about ideas. Maybe you've memorized a bunch of answers. You're thinking about your pronunciation. Maybe you're thinking about grammar structures. Maybe you're thinking about the perfect word, the perfect high-level word. There's just way too much going on. Same as a computer with too many programs open, and you're going to crash. you're not going to give your best performance. So what we need to do is we need to find a way of closing down as many programs as possible, if you will, by removing as many processes as possible and just allowing you to speak naturally and eliminating all of these things at the same time. So you're probably thinking, what is the answer? And it's very, very simple, and I'll warn you, when you see this, what you're going to do is you're going to be like, what? How can that help improve all of these things? Bear with me, I'll explain it all. What you do is, you be yourself, you relax, and you speak like a human being. I'll repeat that. You be yourself, you relax, and you speak like a human being. Don't turn off the video because you think that's too simple. Let me explain. So what I want you to think about is, imagine you are in a coffee shop. Imagine you're meeting a friend or a colleague or a teacher, someone who you're really friendly with, and you're going to speak English with them. And you're just meeting for a coffee, a friendly chat. How would you speak to them? Think about these things. Think about your fluency. Think about your coherence. Think about your grammar. Think about your pronunciation. Think about your vocabulary. Think about how you would just speak to them. And then compare that to how different that is when you are in an IELTS speaking test, when you're in front of the examiner. It's completely different. So let's look at how this advice, being yourself, relaxing, talking to them like a human being, can fix all of these problems. So if you're speaking to a friend, if Ruth and I went for coffee, there's a really nice coffee shop across the road here. Let's say Ruth and I went for a coffee and we were just chatting. We weren't chatting about work, we were just chatting, chit-chat, just small talk. If I asked Ruth, let's say, what are you doing this weekend? Ruth wouldn't give me a memorized answer. She would just talk naturally. She'd just tell me what she was doing at the weekend. She wouldn't be speaking to me very robotically either. She would just, again, chat with. She wouldn't say, this weekend I am going to the cinema with my... She wouldn't really talk like that. She would just chat naturally. Think about vocabulary. Would Ruth be thinking, what's the most high-level word I can think of to describe me going to the cinema this weekend? No, she would just use the vocabulary that you normally use to talk about that. And she wouldn't be thinking of lots and lots and lots of high-level words. She would just speak naturally. Same with grammar. She wouldn't be thinking, can I use the passive and the future progressive tense? She wouldn't really be thinking like that. She would just use language naturally. She wouldn't be thinking of the perfect sentence, because when friends are chatting to each other, even if you make a mistake, everybody makes little mistakes, little grammar mistakes, little fluency slips. You wouldn't be trying to give that person the perfect sentence. Same with your pronunciation. You wouldn't be speaking really, really quickly, hello, what are you doing this weekend? I really want to know. You wouldn't be speaking in that sort of manner, or speaking robotically to them. And you would be speaking clearly because you're nice and relaxed and you're focusing on communication. So you can see, just speaking to someone in a relaxed way solves all of the most common problems on the IELTS test. So what I would like you to do is, number one, practice doing this. Go into, if you have a speaking partner, do this, or if you're in a classroom, let's say you're on an IELTS course, tell your teacher you want to do this, tell the other students you want to do this, and ask them to compare your previous performances with how you're going to speak now. And then practice, when you're practicing questions, try and speak like a human being, not like a robot speaking to an examiner who you treat like a human recording device. That's not who they are. And think about what they are testing. They're not testing your ability to think of lots of big words, lots of complex grammar, use really, really high-level pronunciation features, and for you to give like the perfect answer. They're just testing, can you go to London or New York or Sydney or wherever and speak to people, and for them to understand you. As always, just keep it simple. And when you are speaking to the examiner, speak to them as if you would speak to a friend or a colleague or a teacher or family member, and you will see a massive improvement in all of these key areas. Let me know what you think about that. Many students who see this are a bit like, that can't that can't be true. That can't be that simple. IELTS is not that complicated. It is a simple test overcomplicated by students. It is not that complicated when you break it down and make it as simple as possible. You can't make it simple like ABC, but you can make it as simple as possible. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you need more help with your speaking, you can go to my website, click on the IELTS speaking part, and you'll find lots of help with part 1, part 2, part 3. You'll find infographics, the difference between a band 5 and a band 8, lots of information on the website there. If you got the IELTS scores you need today, congratulations. If you didn't get it's Friday, so if you didn't get the scores you need, commiserations, but there is a way forward. Just, work on your weaknesses, turn those weaknesses into strengths, and try and move forward and improve. If you have a question about IELTS, you can comment below. We answer every single comment, so if you have a question, feel free to comment. And if you want to send us an email, chris@ieltsadvantage.com is my email address. We answer every single email as well, so if you do have a question, feel free to get in touch. Thank you very much, guys. Hope that you enjoyed that. Please subscribe to keep Ruth and Justin happy. Their goal is to hit 100,000 before Christmas, and we're at 75,000 now.
74.
Yeah, I might buy them a drink at our Christmas party if they get there before, so please do. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend, and get in touch if you need any help. Bye-bye.